Well, hello everybody and Happy New Year, coming to you live now in 2022. Can you believe it? A lot of magic with that. I think it's going to be another very interesting year, to say the least, and I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see and notice, because I admittedly took about 10 days off between the solstice and this last Sunday, and so my first session back was yesterday morning. And my reading space has shifted again. So I want to talk about those new energies. I'm excited about them. If you don't know who I am, my name's Araya Anra. I am also known as the Dragon Lady. And I come live here in For the Love of Dragons every week, every Tuesday. And then I share it out. So feel free to share it, whether it's about dragons or energies or something else. If you know someone that would appreciate the information or might help them open to something they're not seeing, then feel free to share it. We're here now. Where we're at with our journey of ascension is really to start coming into that communal harmonic and building those bridges, building our own aspect of connection within and openness to that then feeds and starts building that larger community around us as we move into transparency, as we move into the fullness of ourselves. So want to talk about the shift in energies that I've noticed. I knew that, especially a year ago on the solstice, I felt some big things change. I can't remember exactly when, but I know my reading space, well over a year ago, had shifted from being within, where I go within. As many of you know, I do readings, I do energetic healing, psychic surgery, and in my sessions, I would always just go in, eyes closed, and connect in within myself. And so it was right here. It was like seeing it right here on the screen from that inside perspective. And something shifted over a year ago where all of a sudden my reading space went from here to about 3 feet out. Maybe it was longer than that, because then it shifted again where it went to like 8 to 10 feet out. And what does that mean? It means that my field was able to receive and perceive more energy, which is information, and have it coming from multiple directions to be merged together as I would share it almost simultaneously. Like they would just find a way to weave it, and it would come through in that way. But I could feel that I was going way out here with it. So now things have shifted again, and I'm really excited about this because it was unexpected. I was unaware of what was going to unfold, and in my sessions yesterday and today, what I've noticed so far is a deeper state within where I'm being taken into a larger sphere within that's not just the external sphere. And I think this is what we've been talking about for some time in the ascension journey, of going through that 0-point doorway, getting to where the inside, the inversion and the extroversion are both simultaneously present. This is where 3D and 5D become both accessible simultaneously. And yet, excuse me, we move more into that fifth dimensional quantum field in order to not be anchored in the 3D. We can still perceive it, we can still interact with it, but we are more present within the fifth dimensional, and it's an adjustment. We're moving towards that. So what I saw and noticed, and why I want to bring it up and share it, is that you may start going through or recognizing these things in your own way that you receive information. Whether you're an actual psychic or channel like myself, or if you are clairvoyant, or if you're kinetic, or if you sense energy, maybe you're a Reiki worker, whatever it is, just start paying attention to, is it coming through in the same way? And I had, in the past, you guys have known that I've done what I call downloads or transmissions. And I do feel like there's still a set coming. It might be aligned with the Quantum Flight program, which is another thing I want to talk about today. What is Quantum Flight? And I think why it waited, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to start them on the solstice, and then I was very sick and I just didn't have the energy and didn't align it. But I'm going to look at that again this week and see when is that supposed to start, because I was shown before I got ill in November that there was a series of transmissions that needed to come through to benefit as many as possible for this ascension journey forward, to help people make leaps and bounds forward. And in that, there's 8 transmissions. But what's interesting about it, and why I bring it up, is there was a transmission that came through yesterday in session with someone, And it was no longer a transmission or a download. And many of you know what those are. You know what I'm talking about when I say transmission or download. It has been traditionally or historically for me, when I feel a download or transmission, it comes in to me and then moves out from my heart, almost like in a direct line of energy. Like I can see it coming in and moving out, and then spreading out to those, arcing to those that are going to receive it. What's happened now, and the word that came in was transference. It's no longer about a download or transmission. It's a transference, where I'm like the transfer station, and it's no longer like this single channel. It's literally coming through every cell of my body, on that energetic plane of movement through. So I'm using every part of myself, and the energy comes in and through, but then transmits in a much larger array, but it's spherical. And spherical is another new element of the energies, and have they shifted. That is super exciting. I've watched our chakras move towards spherical. Certain beings are ready for that and have moved into it already. Others are just starting that process. But what creates spherical? When we have linear, we have duality, we have separation, we have the dark and light, right? Everything's been linear in 3D. Well, if we're moving to a quantum field, we're moving to fifth dimensional. What does that look like? Right? When you go from 2D to 3D, things pop up. Well, then they pop both inward and outward. And that's what 5D is going to do. That's what it does. So as we move into that, what happens when we take two ends of a linear spectrum? Can be a timeline, can be our timeline of our incarnations. It can be an experience. Well, you take both ends and you wrap them together, and it normally would form in 3D, it would form a circle, right? If you take two ends of that. And yet, what happens now as it goes into the quantum field, it actually goes spherical. So we're in this process of everything moving into a spherical experience, energetically, knowingly, and until you experience it, you might not quite comprehend what I'm talking about. But for me, the transference process is a spherical expansion where it's hitting the entire field simultaneously. It's not a linear, which means we're actually in the space where we're receiving in the quantum field, which means we've started moving our energy bodies fully into the quantum field. That is super exciting. So pay attention to it. That quantum field, that fifth dimensional, that's the template for the new earth. That is where we are heading. And the fact that so many more people are anchored in it now means that on a collective level, when there are seed points of those that have anchored it in. So maybe there was the first person out of the collective of humanity that actually anchored that template in, anchored that spherical, like they had it happen, they were able to carry it, and boom. Well, just like fire in the collective being discovered or experienced for the first time, it was on simultaneous continents all over the globe, right? Because it was in the collective. As soon as one person brought it in, then another set of seed points could. And then it multiplies, and it starts multiplying very rapidly. So the fact that it's here and present means we are moving forward very quickly. You're going to start seeing more rapid transition towards ascension, and what that means, and living in your heart and being able to follow that and watch things get created, watch things flow, being in your joy. And that to me is what this whole unfolding, whatever's going on in the world, there's still a lot of chaos, there's still a lot of foundational things that are being rewritten and restructured. But for those of you that know you're here to be light workers, your call is actually to be very present with the energy and focus on that. Does it mean focusing inward? In a way, but it's also the outward. It's focusing on that heart space that is now in the 0 point doorway where extroversion, introversion, and sorry, I went this way with introversion and extroversion, where we are simultaneously within both realms bringing as much light as possible through that quantum field, through our own 0 point doorway in the heart, in that core seed point that is within our heart space, where as we connect to our higher self, and that we are then allowing it to broadcast through us into that third dimensional realm, and the beings around us that are still waiting to be activated. They're still waiting to be woken up and have that impetus push them forward. They're a soul that chose to ascend in this time. You might be the one to trigger them just because of your own process. You might never say a word to them, but if you pass them in a grocery store and your field is lit up in a way that they need to push them forward, what a bonus. So it's about living that and expanding it through you. So why do I want to talk about what quantum flight is with that new information and energy? To me, it's a confirmation. I was shown by the dragons in November that I'd done the Way of the Dragon Heart program for the last 4 years, the Eye of the Dragon, then the Way of the Dragon Heart, to get people aligned with who they be, into their full Dragon Heart self. Then they showed me it needs to amplify, it needs to expand up, and so we need to launch it differently. It needs to come into something different, and it's quantum flight is the energy of it. So that's the name of it, it's quantum flight. But what does that mean? Well, getting that information in November, and now having and seeing this unfolding, which I didn't expect, went into session yesterday, and again today, and whoa, the reading space is different. The energy transference is different, and so that gets me excited because that's in line with why I needed to start the program at the end of January, January 25th. Interestingly, right before we go into a double Mercury retrograde. Wow, what? Why would you want me to go into teaching a class communication as we begin a retrograde? Well, there's something about it with the introversion and the extroversion energies and the retrograde motion pulling all together into this sphere. So what does quantum flight do for us? What is that? Quantum flight is about going into the quantum realm on an accelerated launch pad. Literally taking everything that is foundational. So this is my challenge, my task, is to bring the initiation of the dragon energies, the foundational place that we've been in, that we needed in 3D to start releasing shadow stuff, releasing debris, releasing trauma from our fields. That's what the dragons specialize in, especially the lower framework ones with the elementals and the intergalactics, the black-white crystal. They've been here to really help humanity get stuff out of your field. As you've been doing that, you may not even be aware how quickly and easily it's been happening in the last year and a half compared to 20 years ago. I tell you what, when I did shadow work 20 years ago, it was a lot harder and a lot bigger process than it is now. What a beautiful thing as we keep accelerating and expanding. So with that foundation of the initiation and the dragon energies to get rid of any final debris, then we have the opportunity to move into the higher dimensional ranks and receive all the information. I tell you what, the information that I've gotten since last January 2021, in the last year, I have had more information come in than the previous 20 years. I could literally take and write, I've got a folder here, that this is what I share in my programs as the new information comes in. Let me just share this with you. This is last year. This is a manuscript in itself, and each page is just notes where I broaden on, right? And if I had the time, and we had the time as a community, I would sit and actually put it into the second book. I would put it into another book so that it could go out and people could read it when they need to. But there's not really time with the ascension journey, with how and what's happening. The information needs to get out now. So I was shown the impetus, and some of it will be shared, parts of it, over my lives. I've dropped in bits and pieces here and there, like talking today about the shift into the spherical transference of energy. But my focus is going to be to hold that foundational plate with the dragons, the initiation into them, to be able to release the 3D piece. Get all of that off so that as we move through the 0 point doorway and we're ready and we have the new information, so that all of our bodies, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, your two background bodies, which I call the 5th dimensional and 6th dimensional background bodies, can start to connect with your light body in a deeper way by holding a framework that is in the quantum field with a much higher vibration. That's one of the things that I do. And how do we do that? How do we integrate and bring the mental body, which is the biggest resistor to the whole process, right? How do we bring the mental body along into that and let it release its belief systems, its expectations, its parameters, its little boxes that it has around us, its need to control? How do we get the mind to relax into and receive new perspective and new understanding? Because I tell you what, the information I've had in the last year, talk about new perspective and new understanding. I always question, like, how are we biologically going to shift? What does that look like? And I still have a lot of questions about that, but the information has started dripping in. The information of how our body's going to shift has started coming in. So I'm excited to share that and get people ready to actually be able to energetically receive what they need, informationally receive what they need, And then from the dragons have that foundation of clearing that allows a release to launch forward. So I do see it as a launch pad. It's an accelerated 8-week launch pad. We start January 25th. You may or may not feel a call to it. I know that there's a heart call that will hit those that are still meant to have the spaces left. I don't have a lot of spaces left. Right now, only 3 or 4, I think, of 20 plus. So if you're feeling that heart call, if you get an impulse of, there's something about what she's saying, and it's not about what I'm saying. It's about the energy that's transferring right now through what I'm sharing, through my heart space and through the sphere that is already created for that quantum flight group of, it's meant to trigger your heart. It is a heart call. It's not about me trying to talk you into something. This is what's on the table, and there's a group of you that is ready to launch. And what does that mean? That means this group, bigger than all my previous groups. I only took up to 9 before, and the dragon said, nope, shorter course, bigger group. We are ready to start launching into the collective. And I'm getting full body tingles on that because I'm now understanding, just like the seed point in the collective, the dragon hearts that were the first 4 years were slowly putting these pinpoints of light into the collective in the ability to connect in fully with self and be self and not have all the baggage in the way. Now it gets to start snowballing. Now we get to put a double or more of the size group into the collective, get that many more seed points amplified, lit up, living how they're supposed to be in alignment with self. And from there, who knows if there'll be another program. It might be 4 weeks and double the size again, or 6 weeks and double. I don't know, because everything about now is about now. How do we let go of the control with the mind of, I want to plan, I want to have my 1-year plan, my 3-year plan, my what's in 6 months from now. You can't plan that far out. You follow the heart impetus, and I had a heart impetus in November to shift the program. And no, I needed to start a program. Here's the date that it starts. So that was out in the future, but the impetus was right then, right there. This is what needs to be created. And then you allow the timing to flow. And I don't know. I actually told everyone last year, I said, I don't know if there's going to be another program. When I did the interviews for last year's Dragon Hearts, I said, this might be the last program. I don't know, because we're starting to live in that heart impetus aligned to self where you can't make plans because you're not going to know what your heart's going to want to do in that moment. And so moving out of calendars, and for me, that is almost a funny joke of how deeply connected to time, calendar, dates, like appointments, it has been in the past. And I'm watching how that can shift and flow differently even for me with clients and sessions and a daily schedule and classes on certain days. Watching that free itself up from the anchoring into a timeline. What happens when you anchor into a timeline? What happens when you try to remember what you did last week or a month ago, or pull back 20 years to, if it's not a memory that slides in because of a beautiful emotion or a thought or the thought of someone, and you're trying actively to remember, what are you doing? You're anchoring yourself in a 3D linear timeline. So we need to free ourselves up from that and allow ourselves to live in a space where if you need the information that of something you did 3 days ago, it will pop in when you need it. And if it doesn't, you didn't really need it. Being able to trust and know that everything is with you that you need in that moment. And, all right, what is it I want to do right now? Do I want to reschedule? I have an appointment. Do I need to reschedule it, or do I feel I'm really excited about meeting with that client? I'm excited about their growth and what's going to happen for them. Allowing that to just even be a playful thought in your world, especially if you are someone that is very scheduled, very structured, very time-oriented. Those time-oriented constraints will anchor and hold you in 3D instead of allowing you to release and flow into what is the freedom of expansion and flow of energy that is in the quantum field. So my goal is to get people aligned to that, whether it's through these lives, definitely through the Quantum Flight Launchpad. If you are curious about that program, it is 8 weeks every Tuesday from 1 to 3. So after these lives, my classes are from 1 to 3 starting January 25th to March 15th. You want the nitty-gritty details? Send me an email. araya@invokehealing.com, or send me an instant message. I probably won't catch it all, at least not as quickly, if it's in the comments on the posts. I do see them, but it sometimes takes me a little bit longer to get to them than a direct message or an email. I will send you the details. I'll send you the link for the application. And only do it if it's a heart call. If you feel something coming into your field, even after I talk about it, maybe in a couple of days, and you go, something she said just triggered me, and I need to follow up on that. If it's not a heart call, don't bother, because only everybody that really, really feels it in their heart is meant to be in that sphere to benefit from and get that, because there is already a connection line out to them from when I created the sphere in November and sent that heart pulse out so that that line of energy would connect with each person that was part of that sphere. Because the group sphere is already there. You already know on a soul level that you're part of it. So I'm just putting the information out so that those that are part of it can actually find and make the tangible connection in that they feel energetically. So pay attention to the energies. Pay attention to how things have shifted for you. Until someone talks about it, sometimes you don't even recognize that little subtleties in your own field have already changed and you just weren't paying attention. So take the time. Allow yourself to pay attention to, has my meditation shifted? When I go and meditate, how is it? Is it different? Is how I receive my kinetic information used to be maybe on just part of my skin, or is it full body now? Everything is shifting, and there's a beautiful confirmation for me, and so I wanted to share that today. Hopefully that's insightful. I would love to bring the dragons in just gently to this. Why did I feel to have the rainbow and the magenta dragons around me today in the field is to have those higher vibrational, the expansion. So the rainbow dragon is like that mist. You can see in the canvas, the artist got it, just nailed it for me, of this expansion, this allowing the spaces in between within your being to expand out so that you start to receive and experience that doorway of introversion, extroversion. There is a whole field that gets inverted when we go through the doorway, and it's like everything is upside down. But you will be for a while where both are present, and that expansion space that the rainbow dragon brings is part of that. And then the magenta I grabbed because the Pleiadians are a big part of expanding us through that doorway. She is one of the Pleiadian dragons, and the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimensional beings that are the Pleiadian dragons, and the field that they hold for us holds a big part in our process right now. Above what we do in releasing in the 3rd dimensional plane, those that hold the higher dimensional planes for us are helping pull us forward into the capacity to hold that much light in the body, that much expansion in the bodies, as our soul level is capable of. Your light body is already there. We're trying to merge into that. So let's see which dragon wants to be present with us. Hello, I see a lot of faces on today that I wish I could reach out and say hello to everybody, but hello, my dragon family. I'll do it that way. So we had a beautiful card last week. We had the pearl, that both sides of the equation, the paradox, the coin. That understanding is definitely when you actually grasp the truth of the law of paradox and how both sides of a coin can be true at the same time, even though they're perfectly diopposed or diametrically opposed. Look back if you didn't catch it to last week's live. It's on the YouTube channel or it's in the feed down in the group. Because it was perfect, the explanation of that and how it unfolded with that card being drawn actually inverted. So I'm going to feel, oh, interesting, we have, I thought it was inverted, but there it is again on the end of the deck. So it was fooling me again. Introversion, extroversion, both sides of the coin. All right, which dragon wants to speak with us today and share a message to each of those listening, or we'll catch on the replay for this expanded. I just feel my heart doing this right now, you guys. There's just this big expanse coming through the heart. Let me see who this is speaking. The Amethyst Dragon. Wow, we haven't pulled the Amethyst Dragon before. So the Amethyst Dragon, and let's see, Amethyst is way up on the wall, so I can't grab her, but the Amethyst Dragon is one of those in Middle Earth. Really clear vibrational energies, definitely higher, pulling us forward into the bridge with the 4th dimension. But I love this heart energy that was expanding as I was feeling it in the deck. Calm, rejuvenation, elixir of life. So the Amethyst Dragon are the energies that are expanding through the sphere right now. as you're tapping into this, just feel that calm rejuvenation elixir of life. And the Amethyst Dragon, quite often, when people are inquiring about her, I feel very connected to the energy of lavender, which is the same, that soothing, calming, helps you sleep. It's that, like going to a spa where you're surrounded in lavender, and it's that rejuvenation. It's that breath of fresh air, that breath of expansion that helps you keep going, that gets you moving forward. So let's see what the full message on Amethyst is. Get to my Middle Earth Dragons section here. Of course, I don't have my glasses, so I'll see how well I do with reading. All right, the Amethyst Dragon, soothe. The other key word, soothe. Much like the frequency of lavender, the Amethyst Dragon is inherently imbued with soothing, calming frequencies. Her presence indicates a need to walk away from troubles, either a deep cave or enter a deep cave and tend to some self-care. This is a place where you can explore deep truth. Let yourself fall into her embrace, to look deeply into her amethyst eyes and get lost in a realm where nothing can trouble you, cling to you, pull you down, or weaken you. You have been neglecting your own needs, and this serves no one truly. It is okay to put yourself first. It is okay to leave things undone sometimes and walk away. You will come back to them when your heart is called to. It is time to live in alignment with your heart and let go of any false beliefs that command you otherwise. That speaks perfectly to what I was just saying about the need to come into center, to follow the heart. Let the 3D anchors get pulled away. A lot of us come in after the new year and we feel very hurried, hassled, rushed. The new year's starting. We're back to work, especially if you've had any time off over the holidays. It can be chaotic, crazy. Maybe your business or your company has all kinds of new goals, new quarter, like it's all about the financial success. And wherever you work or whatever you do for a living, sometimes right after the new year, and we've put in all these like ideas of what we want to start up for the new year, those are good intentions, but allow it to always be heart-led. And if you were chaotic, crazy, the holidays just weren't relaxing and soothing for you, take the time now. How important is it to get home and rather than turn on a show that you love or go to a class that you don't want to miss every day or every week, if you need to stop and take 2 hours and sit in a bathtub or sit in meditation or just lay back on your couch or your bed and just breathe, can you let yourself do that? The Amethyst Dragon is supporting you. She is here with everyone in this sphere to find that center point, to find that stillness and that, because you can't hear your heart's desires if you're in too much chaos. If there's too much going on and you don't have the rejuvenation space you need, the elixir of life, that is that breath of life that is, no wonder I felt it just coming, amplifying out of the heart of, breathe in, soothe. Let that energy just take you into, there doesn't have to be chaos in the new year or any time, around any holiday, any event. It doesn't need to be chaos, and it never is when you're in alignment with what you know is true. So hopefully that hit home for some of you. I'm glad you appreciated it, Candace. Good to see you there. Sending out love and healing to all of your animals. I know you have lots of beautiful animals that some have struggled lately, so let's send that out to everybody's extended family with all of their animal beings, including all of the dragons that are on your properties. I feel that just came in. I saw a bunch of dragons that are guardians around your properties, those that are listening in on the playback. So sending that out too, of not so much that the dragons that are there need energy and healing, but that they have that connection, that you start to become aware of them more directly and more consciously. So thank you for sharing the message with me today. I appreciate my dragon family so much. It's always nice for me to come and connect every week. And I so look forward to the program that starts on the 25th. If you're feeling that heart call, get a hold of me. I will get you what you need. And if you're not sure, or you're like, I'm not ready for that, but I'm ready for some way of putting my toes in the water with the dragons, I don't know what to do first, get on my calendar. There are free 20-minute discovery calls. My calendar only goes 3 weeks out, but you can find it on the Book Now button of either webpage. So invokehealing.com, dragonwithin.com, go to the Book Now and look around. And if there isn't one, check back in a week or two. I can often be booked 3 weeks out. I'm not always, but often I am. And the calendar only goes that far. So go in, look forward, or just keep checking if you want a discovery call. And if you absolutely can't find anything, or you're struggling because of the time zone you're in, I know Australia is not really amenable or amenable to my schedule, so I usually will adjust. So send me an email. I'm struggling to find something that works for me. Do you have any openings? Because sometimes I can slide someone in on a day where there's not something on the calendar. So blessings to everybody. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.